Welcome to The Art of Plenty. It is book review day, and I can't wait to share this book with you. It's almost summer, which means for me, I get to dive into a little bit more reading, and I thought the best way to kick off summer holidays is to talk about the books that I've been reading, because there's no better time to pick up a good book than summer. The focus of The Art of Plenty is very much around personal development, personal growth. So the books that I'm sharing with you definitely fall into that theme. Now, I am so excited to share this book. Obviously, the books that I'm going to share are books that I love, believe in, got so much out of it. But the book that I'm talking about today, this is a book for any of you out there who have someone in your life that's been diagnosed with cancer. I cannot say enough about this book. I'm holding it up if you're watching on YouTube. It's Radical Remission by Kelly A. Turner, who has her PhD. She is a researcher and a psychotherapist. So I probably have a little bit of appreciation for her because she's a psychotherapist, and I love the work of counseling. Now, I got to tell you where this research came from, where this book came from. Her whole life, she's been exposed to cancer, which is not necessarily an unusual thing in our day and age, but she had early experiences as a child where she was exposed to situations of cancer. I'm not going to get into that too much, but the reason why I bring it up is it's a part of the thread that kind of has been woven through her life. And when she was an undergrad at Harvard, she volunteered in like an oncology ward, and she worked with children. And so working with cancer patients has been a part of her life. Being around cancer is just something that's been woven through her life. The other thing that's woven through her life, perhaps more as an adult, is there's this theme of looking at medicines and healings that are not necessarily conventional. So what is radical remission? I'm going to tell you a little bit of what I took away from this book. So she breaks up that definition into three distinct parts of what it means to be in radical remission. So the first one is that the cancer goes away with no conventional intervention, no conventional medicine. The second one is that a person could use conventional, but it doesn't work, meaning the patient doesn't go into remission, and they switch to alternative medicine, and then they do go into remission. And the third one is that they use both. The patient uses conventional and they use alternative at the same time, and the prognosis for the cancer that they have is dire, meaning less than 25% of survival in 5 years. So these are significant situations of what it means to go in radical remission. And so it has to be those three criteria. And what happens is that they go into radical remission. There's no more evidence of the cancer. Now, this book is more than a decade old. So it has been around a while, but the stories in this book are so relevant. And the reason why they're so relevant is in the middle of a cancer diagnosis, you just need hope. And one of the things that this book does is it gives hope. And the way that it does that is by talking about people who have survived and have done well. I remember when I was going through cancer treatments, and I would turn on the television to watch a movie, or I would pick up a book, and I'm not talking personal development book. I read none of that when I was going through stuff, but just like distract me, entertain me. Okay, that's the type of content I was looking for in movies, in television shows, in my books, in my literature, everything. Just make me laugh, bring me joy. And every time I would find a show, somebody was dying of cancer, and somebody had cancer, and the prognosis was never good. The main character's parent would die. And you would see the treatment, they would be bald because they were going through chemo, and you would pick a book that would have nothing on the back. It's not like I was choosing stories about cancer, but it felt like every bit of content I was picking up was cancer. And it really annoyed me because it was so connected to death. And we had so many stories of triumph, and I just had no tolerance for that, and I felt it so frustrated. I love this book because I think it's really empowering. She does such a beautiful job of weaving in the ways that people overcame their disease. And so this is what happened. Okay, so she's a researcher, she's a therapist, and she is talking with oncologists, and she discovers that every oncologist that she asks have people on their caseload who went into radical remission. And yet, when she dives into the research, there's no research about the types of treatment people are using. And outside of conventional Western medicine, there's not a lot of research that she came across. And again, this book was published 10 years ago, so the research would have even been before that. And the second thing is nobody was talking to these people that went into radical remission. And so she did. That's what she did her PhD dissertation on, was talking to these cases of radical remission and diving into how did they overcome? What is it that they did? And guess what? She found 9 key factors of things that, and I can't remember specifically if every single person did all 9 of these or if it was a combination, but these were the 9 themes that kept coming up interview after interview after interview in her qualitative research. And now she actually has a website, I don't know if it's active right now, where people can go on and share their stories because it's continuing to happen. It's not like this was just a phenomenon a few years ago. So what am I doing with this book and how have I been applying it? There is no point in reading personal development if you're not going to do something with it, if you're not going to somehow use that information to personally develop. That's the whole point of it, right? So this is what I did. I went through the chapter because she breaks the book up into these 9 different key factors, and I read what the factor is, and I thought back to my own cancer treatments and thought, did I do this? And I just want to throw out there, the type of cancer that I had did not have a dire prognosis. It actually is the opposite. If you're going to get a cancer, the one I had is a pretty good one to get, because how good conventional treatment is and the time that I found the cancer, how quickly things happened for me. So I just want to throw that out there. I do not fit the criteria for radical remission. I'm by no means claiming that. But I still think that there's something I can learn from this. And so I went through each of the key factors, and I went through when I was going through the treatment, because I went through conventional treatment the entire way, did everything that they told me to do, and did it exactly how they told me to do it for the most part. And I went through the key factors to think, okay, did I do this? And I thought about how I implemented that, or how I am continuing to implement that strategy. The other way that I'm applying this book into my life is I'm talking about this work to everyone I know that gets a cancer diagnosis, again, because I really believe that we need stories of healing and that we need stories of hope. Not to say that if you, and Kelly Turner doesn't say this either, just because you do these 9 things doesn't mean it's going to have a result. She by no means is an advocate for only traditional healing. She very much talks about conventional healing and its purpose and its place within, working with cancer patients. So she's not advocating for that. I'm not advocating for that. I just have been talking about this book because I do believe it has a way of bringing hope, and it's so encouraging to hear other people who are overcoming things and doing it well. The other thing that I think about this book is that it actually applies to other circumstances. It applies to other illnesses. I think there's things in this book that we can take away and apply to any type of sickness. Because I think there's things that are common in different sicknesses. And even though she hasn't done this research that I'm aware of outside of oncology, I think there's a lot of interesting ideas that if we were to research other people, other situations that have overcome diseases that had dire outcomes using different means than conventionals, what would their stories say? And would we find the same commonalities? So that's it. So this book is for you. This book is for you if you, well, I don't know. I don't know if that's true. If anything I've said sparks hope and you need hope for a situation related to illness, this book is for you. Thanks for tuning in to The Art of Plenty. Happy reading!